The movie begins with a man and a woman. The man points a gun at the woman, but then unexpectedly hands the gun over to her, asking her to shoot him instead. We are then introduced to Violett, a widowed single mother. She is working in her home office when suddenly she hears a knock on the gate. Startled, she answers. A man is standing there and says he only came to take the electricity meter reading. Violett tells him the meter is in the backyard, and the man leaves. Later, Violett is playing with her son when her sister arrives. She had asked her sister to look after him because she has a first date with Henry tonight. After getting ready, Violett instructs her son to behave and then heads out. She goes to Palette, a restaurant located at the top of a tall tower. While riding up in the elevator, she receives a message from her boyfriend Henry saying he will be a little late. When she reaches the top, she informs the receptionist about their reservation. Since Henry isn't there yet, she decides to wait at the bar. On the way to the bar, Violett accidentally bumps into a man and drops her phone. The man picks it up, apologizes, and hands it back to her. Violett also apologizes, saying she wasn't paying attention. She continues walking, then takes a seat at the bar. An older gentleman approaches her, mistaking her for someone named Diane. Violett tells him she isn't Diane. The man apologizes, explaining that he is here on a blind date. Before their conversation continues, a pianist comes over and sits beside Violett. He asks which song she would like to hear. Violett tells him her choice. He then returns to the piano. Soon after, the old man's real date arrives, and the two leave together. Violett then starts receiving strange notifications on her phone. She declines them, not paying much attention. A short while later, Henry arrives. The two sit together and begin talking. Violett again receives those notifications and shows him. Henry explains that they are called drops, messages sent through dating apps, usually by nearby people. Sometimes people use them as pranks. He tells her not to worry, as even he sometimes receives them. But moments later, another drop appears. This one tells her, check your home camera. Violett, worried by the strange drop, opens her phone and checks her home's security cameras. On the screen, she sees her son and her sister Jen sitting together on a bed. Then she switches to another camera view. Her blood runs cold. In the living room, a masked man dressed in black is standing, holding a gun. Another drop immediately flashes on her phone. Keep your mouth shut. Shaken, Violett hides her fear. Henry notices something is wrong and asks her what happened. But Violett lies, saying everything is fine, and excuses herself, claiming she needs to go to the restroom. On the way, she secretly dials 911, but before she can press call, a new drop appears. I can see your phone screen. If you call the police or tell anyone, your son will die. Terrified, Violett deletes the number and goes inside the restroom. She almost asks a group of girls there for help, but just then another drop arrives. Ask those girls for help, and I'll know. Violett freezes. Instead of speaking, she quietly looks around the restroom. That's when she notices something strange. A small transmitter-like device is fixed to the side of the mirror. She returns to her table. Henry again asks if she's all right. Violett forces a smile and says, yes, she was just thinking about her son. She suddenly notices the same kind of transmitter fixed on their table. Henry grows concerned and suggests they switch tables to make her feel more comfortable. He calls a waiter and asks for another table. But as the waiter leads them away, Violett's phone buzzes with another chilling drop. Don't switch tables, otherwise your son will die in 1 minute. Violett panics. Quickly, she tells Henry she actually prefers the view from their original spot and insists they sit back down. Henry, confused, asks again if she is really okay. Violett puts on a fake smile and replies, of course. But right then another drop arrives. Keep smiling. If your boyfriend leaves, your son will die. Violett forces herself to smile even more, pretending everything is normal. They order food. Shortly after, a drop pops up again. Take the SD card out of Henry's camera. Henry, being a photographer, has his camera bag with him. Violett thinks quickly. She slips her watch into her purse on purpose. Then she gasps and says, oh no, my watch is missing. Could you ask the hostess if anyone turned it in? Henry nods and leaves to check. While he's gone, Violett opens Henry's bag, pulls out the camera, flips through a few photos, and quietly removes the SD card. She hides it. When Henry returns, he says no one found her watch and tries to calm her down, saying it will probably show up later. A moment later, another drop arrives. Go to the restroom, now. Violett pretends and says, maybe I left my watch in the restroom, and heads back there. In the restroom, another instruction appears: smash the SD card and flush it. Violett hesitates, but with her son's life on the line, she crushes the SD card and flushes it down the toilet. Immediately after, another drop appears. Check inside the towel dispenser. Violett opens it and finds a small glass vial containing a liquid. A new drop follows. Mix this into your boyfriend's drink and kill him. Violett shakes her head and whispers no. The drop responds instantly. Yes, you can. You've killed before. Violett freezes in shock, her mind racing at the terrifying implication. She goes back at the table. Henry prepares to leave. He says, I know you have a son waiting for you. You should go home. We can meet again later. Panicked, Violett grabs his hand, pulls him back, and kisses him. She begs him to sit with her. Henry, a little surprised, agrees, and they sit again. Just then, from behind them, a voice yells. A woman storms off angrily, calling a man a loser. Violett sees that it's the same older gentleman from before. At that moment, the pianist begins to play the song Violett had requested earlier. Violett looks at him, quietly takes some money from her purse, and writes something on it. She gives it to the waiter, asking him to deliver the tip to the pianist. The waiter drops it into the pianist's tip bowl. Later, the pianist takes out the money from the bowl, looks at it, and discreetly walks aside, appearing to make a phone call. Violett watches closely. A moment later, he returns, takes a drink, and continues playing. Moments later, the waiter serves their food, and she notices that the same dollar bill has been placed inside her dish. Soon after, another drop appears on Violett's phone. You screwed up. Violett quickly types back, I am sorry. Moments later, the pianist collapses to the floor. People rush to help him, including Henry. Violett takes this chance to check her home cameras again. What she sees horrifies her. Her sister Jen is struck on the head by an intruder and knocked unconscious. The masked man drags Violett's son Toby away and locks him in his room. Meanwhile, the pianist regains consciousness, saying weakly, I'm fine. Just had too much to drink. He walks toward the elevators. Another drop appears. He won't make it to the lobby. Violett watches from the window as an ambulance arrives, apparently for him. Another drop flashes on Violett's phone. Next time, it won't be the another. It will be your son. Violett's hands shake. She tells Henry they should take some shots together to lighten the mood. As she gets up, her purse slips from the chair. She doesn't notice, but her watch falls out. Henry notices and picks it up, frowning in confusion. At the bar, Violett collects 2 shot glasses. She's about to mix the liquid there when a drop suddenly appears. Do it at the table. The bartender asks her, do you want lime with that? Violett nervously declines and carries the drinks back. At the table, Henry hands her the missing watch. You lied about losing it. It was in your purse. You've been distracted all night, looking around everywhere. What's going on? Is someone here? Is everything okay? Violett tries to change the subject. Henry, sensing something's wrong, opens up instead, and they both begin sharing pieces of their past. The tension softens for a moment. Then Violett says she forgot the lime. Henry offers to fetch it and heads to the bar. While he's gone, Violett quickly pulls out the vial from her purse and pours the liquid into Henry's drink. She looks up, and her eyes lock with the man she had bumped into earlier. He is sitting at another table while typing on his phone. Henry returns, smiling, and raises his glass. Shall we? Just as he's about to drink, Violett panics and deliberately knocks over his wine glass, spilling it onto his clothes. Then she says, Oh no, I'm so sorry. Henry brushes it off, saying it's fine, and excuses himself to clean up in the restroom. The phone buzzes again. That wasn't smart. Violett glances up. The man she noticed earlier is still staring at her. She gets up and starts walking toward him, but just then, another woman approaches his table. Violett stops in her tracks. She then turns to the bartender and quietly asks about the man. The bartender replies, He comes here often. Usually, he sits at that table over there. She points toward the corner. Violett looks over and sees the older gentleman still sitting there alone, his blind date long gone. Violett picks up the 2 shot glasses and walks straight to the old man's table. She smiles politely and says, This one's for you from me. The old man smiles faintly. Thank you, Violett, but I've already had too much tonight. Violett freezes. Shocked, she whispers, I never told you my name. The man smiles coldly and invites her to sit. She does. Then, he finally admits the truth. He is the one who has been sending her the drops. He tells her, I know that you even killed your husband before. Tears fill her eyes as a scene shows her husband taking his own life. She says, "I didn't kill him." He leans closer and says, "If you want your son to live, you'll do exactly as I say." At that moment Henry returns. The old man calmly tells him, "Violett and I know each other from before." Violett gives Henry his shot glass, insisting. Henry drinks it without question. Then Violett tells Henry to give her a minute, saying she'll join him at their table. Henry goes back and she turns to the old man. "I did what you asked. Now call off your men from my house." The man pulls out his phone and dials. He tells his associates, "Henry drank the drink. I'll confirm when he dies." Then he casually begins to eat his dessert. Violett stares at him and says quietly, "I only pretended to put it in Henry's drink. While you were watching him, I mixed it into your dessert." The old man slams the table in rage. He pulls a gun from inside his coat and aims at Violett. At the last second, Henry leaps forward, shielding Violett. The bullet strikes Henry in the stomach. The restaurant erupts into chaos. People scream and rush for the exits. The old man, enraged, charges after Violett with his gun. She scrambles under tables, trying to escape. As he is about to shoot Violett, the bartender smashes something against the man's hand. The gun goes off, the shot misses, and the bullet passes through a nearby window. The gun falls to the floor. The bartender tries to fight him, but the old man punches her and stabs her in the waist with a knife. She collapses in pain. Violett lunges for the gun, but the old man grabs it first and points it at her. Violett glances at the broken window nearby, the cracks spreading wider. The man pulls out his phone and snarls, "Kill them all." Desperate, Violett spots a hockey puck Henry had given her earlier for Toby. She smashes it against the weakened glass. The window shatters open. A sudden burst of pressure sucks the old man toward the opening. He screams as he is pulled outside and falls from the tower. Violett, too, is dragged toward the opening, but she grabs onto a tablecloth that catches on something. The fabric begins to tear. At the last moment, Henry, bleeding but alive, pulls her back to safety. Shaking, Violett whispers, "I'm so sorry." Grimacing in pain, Henry replies, "I knew something was wrong. I'll call the cops." Violett nods, gives him her address, snatches his car keys, and rushes out to save her family. Violett rushes home in Henry's car. On the way she calls her sister Jen. The ringtone wakes Jen, who regains a little consciousness. She stumbles toward the kitchen to pick up the phone, but as soon as she lifts it, the masked intruder appears and fires a shot at her. Watching through her camera feed, Violett screams for Jen to sit down. Jen obeys instantly, ducking, and the bullet narrowly misses her. At that very moment, Violett's son, Toby, walks into the kitchen. The masked man points his gun at the boy. Violett, panicked, screams Toby's name through the phone. Jen suddenly leaps up and smashes a glass over the intruder's head, shouting for Toby to run. She runs as well, but the man quickly recovers. He grabs Jen from behind and slams her against the wall, shattering a mirror. He then seizes Toby, lifts him into his arms, and starts carrying him away. Jen grabs a sharp shard of broken glass from the floor and stabs the intruder in the leg. Screaming in pain, the man stumbles, and Jen manages to snatch Toby back. She rushes him upstairs into his room, locks the door, and pushes a heavy wardrobe in front of it. She tells Toby, "Hide under the bed." But the man forces the door open, breaking through the barricade. He storms inside and shoots Jen, injuring her. Then he fires several more shots into the bed from above, trying to hit Toby. After that, Violett enters the house. The man sees her from upstairs and shoots, but Violett dodges and hides. She runs into the kitchen, grabs a knife, and sneaks up behind him. She stabs him in the shoulder, making him drop his gun, but the man is strong. He punches Violett in the face, slams her to the ground several times, and kicks her. Groaning in pain, Violett watches as he pulls the knife out of his own shoulder and steps toward her. Then he rips off his mask. Violett gasps. It's the same man who had come earlier to get the reading of electricity meter. Violett stares at him, shocked and trembling. Suddenly, a toy car rolls toward her with a gun placed on top of it. The man looks at it in confusion. Violett quickly grabs the gun and shoots him. He falls back, dead, breathing heavily. Violett looks toward the doorway. There stands little Toby, holding the remote control for the toy car, his eyes wide with fear but also courage. Violett runs to him, scoops him up in her arms, and hugs him tightly. Just then, Jen stumbles downstairs, clutching her bleeding shoulder. She is alive, though badly hurt. She gives Violett a tired smile and asks, "So, how was your date?" The scene shifts to the hospital. Henry is lying on a hospital bed, wounded but alive. Just then Violett enters the room carrying a shake and some snacks for him. Henry looks at her and says, "Thank you. It's because of you that I survived." If it had been someone else, maybe I would have been dead. At that moment, Violett's phone buzzes, another drop notification appears. She immediately becomes tense and afraid. But this time, the drop was sent by her sister, Jen, who is also admitted. The same hospital after being shot. Jen is standing at the door of their room. Jen says jokingly, "I got shot too, and you didn't even bother to visit me." Violett smiles and replies, "Do you want me to make sure you get shot again?" Jen stays quiet, gives her a look, and then slowly walks away. Henry and Violett glance at each other and smile softly. They begin talking quietly, relieved to finally be safe. And here, the movie ends. Like this video, share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel, Story Crax. We'll be back soon with another amazing story.